Oh my God, I did it again and we're live. I'll edit all this out. All right, I gotta I'm gonna breathe for a second. So this is actually perfect because we are gonna talk about the Dada poet, the Baroness Elsa von Freytag-Loringhoven. I am with the world famous poet, Joanne Leva. We are at an undisclosed location, Grotto Flamingo, somewhere in Montgomery County. We are not at a playground publicly because the poem we're going to talk about today is a little risque. It's a little naughty. The Baroness Elsa von Freytag-Loringhoven. She
was amazing.
Baroness Elsa von Freytag-Loringhoven. She's a real baroness. That's her real name. Whole lot of, she got spoons in her head. Right, I got a few more pictures. These are like cookie cutters. I don't know what's going on here. All right, so Joanne Leva, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Wordplay ground, episode 4.
Already?
I know.
Wow.
All right, so the Baroness, right?
Yeah.
She was born. Here, let's talk about her for a second.
Yeah.
She was born July 12th, 1874. All right. Her name was Elsa Hildegard Platz, something like that, from Germany, and I'm probably messing up her name.
Oh.
She died December 14th, 1927.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
She died of gas asphyxiation. Asphyxiation, did I say that right?
Oh.
Gas suffocation.
Wow.
Yeah. There was no note, so we don't know if it was suicide or not, right? She died in Paris, and she's buried in Père Lachaise. So when you go see Jim Morrison, make sure you go see the Baroness Elsa von Freytag-Loringhoven.
I was there. I saw Jim Morrison's grave.
I've been there too. I know.
That.
I know.
Oh.
Apollinaire, like all these people.
I'm gonna have to go back to Paris.
Let's go. All right, we're gonna go back. We're going back. All right. Okay. So the poem we're gonna read today is "A Dozen Cocktails, Please." So, like I said, it's not really right for kids to see this in a park. So
True.
We came.
But we're not in a park. We're in a grotto.
We're in the Grotto Flamingo, so
Yeah.
we came to somewhere private. All right. This poem was published somewhere in the 20s, 1923 to 27. We're not sure. I'm not sure. The Baroness was a very controversial figure. She lived Dada. She wore whatever she wanted at any given moment. She would wear tomato cans as bras. She would wear, curtain fixtures as earrings. All right, she was a model. Like Man Ray photographed her. Like she did a lot of weird stuff. She was in love with Duchamp, Marcel Duchamp. Yeah, and there's a whole story there. We'll get to it if we have time. He was an eccentric.
She was a visual artist as well as a poet.
Not only was she a visual artist, she was one of the originators of Western performance art. Like she lived performance art.
Yeah.
She was like the mama of Dada. She wore it. She talked it. She lived in absolute poverty. She was a baroness with no money. The story here was Baroness. Huh. All right. So she was in Germany. She was a model. She got married to someone over in Europe, and then they faked his suicide. They faked his suicide and moved to Kentucky to get him out of Europe. All right. This is before she was a baroness. And then so she moves to Kentucky, and then she leaves that guy. She moved to Cincinnati. I can't remember. She moved throughout, and then she came to Philadelphia. She actually lived in Philadelphia in 1911, something like that. 1913, around there. She met the Baron. His name is Baron Leopold von Freytag-Loringhoven. Of course, his name was Leopold, right? This is 19 whatevers, right? He has to go back to Germany at the start of World War I, and I can't remember, and I apologize, if he either committed suicide or if he was killed.
Oh.
He was a captive, World War I captive, somewhere in Germany by the French or somewhere like that. He died. So she got nothing. She was a baroness living in New York now with no baron, no money. So she was modeling, doing all this performance art.
Oh, for money, and probably that's how she made some cash.
She was doing her best, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to read the poem now because I feel like we've been talking for a while.
Okay.
The Baroness Elsa von Freytag-Loringhoven. A dozen cocktails, please. Remember, it's Dada. No spinster lollipop for me. Yes, we have no bananas. I got lusting palate. I always eat them. They have dandy celluloid tubes, all sizes, tinted diabolically as a baboon's hide complexion. A man's a piffle, will-o'-the-wisp. What's the dread matter with the up-to-date American home comforts? Bum insufficient for the should-be well-groomed upsie. That's the leading question. There's the vibrator. Coy flapper toy. I am adult citizen with vote. I demand my unstinted share in roof-eating. Which Sabbath of our Babylonian obelisk? What's radio for, if you please? Eaves, dart, pricks, snookums upon wire fence. An apple a day, it'll come. Ha! When? I'm no tongue-swallowing yogi. Progress is ravishing. It doesn't me. Nudge it, kick it, prod it, push it, broadcast. That's the lightning idea. SOS national shortage of what? How are we going to put it befitting lifted upsie? Psh! Any sissy poet has sufficient freezing chemicals in his Freudian ice chest to snuff all cockiness. We'll hire one. Hell, not that. That's the trouble. Crock, cock, crow, silly. Oh, fine. They're in France. The air on the line, the poles. Have them send waves like candy, Valentine's. Say it with bolts. Oh, thunder, serpentine air currents. Hops. The very word penetrates. I feel woozy. I like that. I don't hanker after Billy boys, but I am entitled to be deeply shocked. So are we. But you fill the hiatus. Dear, I ain't queer. I need it straight. A dozen cocktails, please. Ah! Oh, it's so much. It's so much, right?
Baroness, she's got it going
All right,
on.
so Baroness, right? She was
God.
once, or maybe more than once, she was once arrested for wearing men's clothing. So she was androgynous. She was a shoplifter. She did have homosexual relationships. She was a lover of Juna Barnes. Juna Barnes was a famous artist as well. She was in love with Marcel Duchamp, right? So she went both ways. She just did whatever she wanted.
Yeah.
So, okay, no spinster lollipop for me, right? To me, like spinster lollipop, it's one word too, the way she puts it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking penis.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I thought.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's like no spinster lollipop for me. Yes, we have no bananas. Banana, right? Penis again.
Yeah.
So that's the marketing. We have no bananas today. Right, the song, the marketing, right? So she's using like vernacular of the 20s.
And like pop culture. Yeah.
Yes, exactly,
yeah.
right. I got lusting palate. So she's like, yes, no, I got lusting palate. Like she's got a hunger for, I always eat them, right? So like she likes penis, cock, right?
Yeah.
They have dandy celluloid tubes.
Yeah, and diabolically, you know?
Right. So dandy celluloid tubes, like, that's a condom.
Oh,
celluloid tubes.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so I learned about this poem, I'll give some credit, from the ModPo Coursera course given by the University of Pennsylvania.
Oh.
So Al Freelis and all the TAs, like, this was one of the poems. So they kind of like helped me like explore this. So they have dandy cellular tubes, all sizes, like all sizes of cock, tinted diabolically as a baboon's hind complexion, right? So like colored condoms. A man's a piffle. So I looked up the word piffle.
Yeah.
And it basically means nonsense. A man's nonsense. Like, I don't need the man. Will-o'-the-wisp, that's the next thing. So it's like, a man's a piffle, will-o'-the-wisp. And I looked up will-o'-the-wisp too, and it's kind of like a jack-o'-lantern. It's like a lantern. Have you heard like will-o'-the-wisp before?
No.
Yeah, there's something like very like scary, spooky,
Yeah.
like a light in the woods. What's the dread matter with the up-to-date American home comforts? So that's more like magazine language, like up-to-date American home comforts.
Yeah.
Right? Now she's Dada. So this is like, the upsy, the up-to-date American, like the high class, like she's kind of subverting a little bit of this. Bum insufficient. Bum, like your butt, like toileting, like the bathroom.
Yeah.
Bum insufficient for the should-be well-groomed upsy. Right? So it's like, what is going on here? A man's a piffle, will-o'-the-wisp. What's the dread matter with the up-to-date American? What's the matter with high-class people?
Oh.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm an artist. Like, you know, I'm saying the Baroness. Like,
Yeah.
You know, I'm an artist. What's the matter with the American high-class people? Well-groomed. That's the leading question. There's the vibrator. Right? The vibrator, right? But also, like, there's the big idea. There's the vibrator. There's the thing I want to talk. Coy flapper toy. Coy flapper toy. Like, this is all euphemisms.
It's amazing that
for, like,
yeah, she's almost like
vibrator,
doing what
dildo.
what poets do, right? Make up words, put
Right.
words together. Like,
Right.
did she call herself a poet? Like,
Yes.
was she was
an
recognized
artist,
as a poet?
yes.
Was she published?
She was thank you for bringing that up. She was published in it was called the Little Review,
Oh,
next to Ezra Pound,
I
next to
believe that.
Juna Barnes, next
Yeah.
to Mina Loy,
Yeah,
next to James Joyce's serialization of Ulysses.
yeah. This is like groundbreaking.
This is groundbreaking stuff. She's
Yeah.
the mama of Dada.
Yeah.
Yes.
But where was the little review based from?
It
You know?
was published. It was edited by Margaret Anderson and Jane Heap.
Oh.
I believe it was out of New York.
Oh, okay.
She was very controversial. People were
Yeah.
very pro-Baroness, very
Yeah.
anti-Baroness.
Yeah.
Right?
What's super cool though is that she's just like a rock star on the page and in life, right? Like she's like doing like performance
yes,
and
yes.
she's combining what we do now, you know?
We don't do now without her.
No.
You know,
Definitely.
The sound poetry in here, we'll get
Yeah.
to it. Like, you know, even the piffle, the will-o'-wisp, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's almost like she's bringing in Emily too. Like if you see on the page, do you see all the
please
dashes?
Please show.
You see all the dashes?
Yes. And she handwriting this.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like you know, there's lots of like resonance from like history and from pop culture, and she's bringing it all in, like this big like
The collage
Yeah.
of the words.
Yes.
Using advertising, using magazine writing, using songs.
spiritual
Right.
collage, emotional collage,
Right.
historical collage. You
Yes.
know, all of
Yes.
it.
Yes.
It's really interesting.
Right, and then all the wordplay too, right? So
Yeah.
Coy flapper
Yeah.
toy, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a vibrator, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a dildo. The dog's in the way.
Come here, Maddie.
That's Maddie. All right. I am adult citizen with vote. There's no I am and. So she took out a little edit there, right? I am adult citizen with vote. I demand my unstinted share in roof eating. I don't know which Sabbath of our Babylonian obelisk. Babylonian, right?
Yeah.
But the obelisk, again, it's phallic. Everything's phallic in this book.
Yeah, but we
Every-
trust her, like by this point.
Talk to me.
Definitely, like it's okay. Like I trust her, and I'm on the magic carpet right
Yes.
now. You know, like it's really cool. You know,
That
like,
is so cool.
I don't feel like scared or like offended or anything. You know, like everything's all right. Just spoon feed me, Baroness.
Just give it to me, right?
I know.
And plus the title, right?
Yes.
A dozen cocktails, please.
I know.
Like we know she's intoxicated. Like the speaker's intoxicated,
Yeah.
right? Like.
I mean, how many of us haven't been when we've
Right. Okay, so, and then what's radio for, if you please? And then there's a quote here. Eve's dart pricks snookums upon wire fence. I don't know what that means.
She had me there.
I
You
don't know
I
what
mean?
that means.
You talk
Eve,
about
right?
Eve. Yeah,
Eve.
that's me.
Joanne Leva, Eve. Look up Joanne Leva. Title's your book? Eve Heads Back.
Heads back, and Eve would know.
Eve would know.
Yeah.
These are really good books.
Oh.
And
Hey, it's not about me.
They're a little saucy as well. There's some freakiness in there.
True.
Okay, an apple a day, right? There's that language again. It'll come ha when. I'm no tongue swallowing yogi.
I love that part.
This part, I love this part. Yeah. Progress is ravishing. It doesn't me. So again, it's like a forward and back. Progress is ravishing. It doesn't me. So like progress negates me. But then like nudge it, kick it, prod it, push it. Like those are progress words.
Yeah.
Nudging something, kicking it, prodding.
It's almost like a call to action there,
Yes.
you know? Yeah.
And then broadcast. That's the lightning idea, right? So it's like the future, broadcast. Like these are where some of my words are coming in, the language, right? And then SOS, right? So it's SOS, something's wrong. National shortage of, and we know all about national shortages of right now with the
Yeah.
supply chain and everything.
Yeah.
National shortage of what? How are we going to put it befitting lifted upsy? That's the high class lifted upsy again. And then it's any sissy poet. So it's like, how are we going to do something? Call a poet. Any sissy poet has sufficient freezing chemicals in his Freudian ice chest to snuff all cockiness. We'll hire a poet. We'll hire one. Hell. And then again, yes, no, yes, no. Hell, not that. That's the trouble. The poet's the trouble. I don't know. Like I'm kind of like reading into it quickly.
Yeah.
Cock crow silly. Oh, fine. They're in Paris. They're in France. Who's the there? They? Is it poets again? I don't know. Or is it the upsea? They're in France. The air on the line. The Poles, like Polish people, have them send waves. And here we go again with the advertising. Have them send waves like candy. Valentines. Say it with bolts. Say it with flowers. That's the line.
Like these are images that are coming into my head, you know, like just the way she's doing it. Like she's calling on like imagery, not just metaphor, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And with all this collage of language, like say it with flowers. We all know what that is. Like say it with that. But she's like, no. Say it with bolts.
Yeah.
It's such a quote. Like say it with bolts. Like put that on a billboard. Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Put that in my life. Like say it with bolts. Like how are you going to say something?
It's like on the screen. Like you can picture emojis, you know?
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking.
Say it with bolts. Oh, and then here we go. Oh, thunder. Serpentine air currents. Hips.
That's the coolest.
Sound poetry.
I know.
Like this is early on. Like she's one of the originators.
That's great.
Of it. Hips. The very word, and again, we're going to go back to sex. The very word penetrates. I feel woozy. I like that. I don't hanker after Billy Boys. Okay, now I looked up Billy Boys because I'm like, is that like a lesbian? Is that a gay male? Is that some kind of slang for penis? Is that slang for condom again? Like Billy Boy, like Will, you know, like, I don't know, like Willie, Billy Boy. Yeah. I don't hanker after Billy Boys, but I am entitled to be deeply shocked.
That's cool.
It's just all sex.
I know.
It's just all sex.
I like it. I mean, it's
but
awesome.
I am entitled to be deeply shocked.
Yeah.
So are we.
Yeah.
We, everybody's entitled.
The universal we.
But you fill the hiatus, the gap, right? You fill the hole in me. It's all like, it's all cock. It's all penis. It's all like.
I was thinking it might even be the poetry, like.
Give it to me.
You know, like
please.
How we are as poets, right? Like I know for
metaphor.
me, like the poetry really saves us. I think anyway.
Fill the hiatus.
Yeah.
Say it with bolts.
And look at what she's doing here. She's using poetry to like as artifact and to like disrupt.
Oh,
and
such disruption.
And then at the end, right? Like
here we go.
Yeah.
But you fill the hiatus. Dear, I ain't queer. Even though we know she had lesbian lovers. Dear, I ain't queer. I need it straight. Straight, gay, right? So again, the just the innuendo, the double entendre.
Wonderful.
Dear, I ain't queer. I need it straight. A dozen cocktails, please.
Yeah.
The bartender. But then like straight, right? Like to have a drink straight.
Yeah.
Neat. Ice, no ice, rocks, no rocks. A dozen cocktails, please. Who drinks a dozen drinks?
I was thinking that. Oh my God, I'd be floored. But even so, even her poetry is straight, right? Like she doesn't mess around here. She's like giving it to us straight. Her poetry.
You think so? She's giving it to us straight?
I don't know.
Because there's Emily Dickinson.
Yeah.
Say it slant.
Yes.
And she's not giving it to us straight.
And she's referencing her with these dashes. I mean, it's so clear. She's really a woman ahead of her time. You know?
So much of ahead of her time.
Yeah.
And I don't know where we are. Hi, Tim. What's up? Thanks for joining us, man. I don't know how much time we have, but let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
Duchamp.
Yes.
Right? So everyone knows Duchamp as the ready-made, right? The object, the found object, right?
Yeah.
The fountain at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. The toilet that has our mutt on it. Duchamp would take like ordinary everyday objects and put a title on it and turn them art. Right? Okay, so so Duchamp did a ready-made in 1914. All right, he called it the bottle rack, and it's a sculpture. But the Baroness in 1913, she was going to get something like a marriage license or like an engagement, something or other in New York City. In 1913, she found an iron ring.
Yeah. And
she was on her way to do something for her marriage. And she saw this iron ring. And she titled it Enduring Engagement in 1913. So the Baroness was that we know of in Western society, who knows if it was ever done anywhere else, was the first one to take a found object and call it art. She didn't call it a ready-made. Duchamp did. So Duchamp was the one who like coined the phrase in 1914.
What about Picasso?
They weren't doing it yet.
Ah.
Not that like we know of in the U.S.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Got you.
Okay. So in 1913, the Baroness takes this thing, and it becomes Enduring Engagement, and it gets photographed, and that's her piece of art. She beat Duchamp. Okay. Then in 1917.
Or he was influenced by her.
This is where this is all going.
Yeah.
He kind of stole her idea. All right.
Or like they're all our ideas, right?
Right.
Like this is like everybody.
Right. I don't know the word stealing. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. We borrow everything. But she did it first, and she up until about 2010 and like 20 when like books started coming out, biographies.
Yeah.
Like she was erased. Duchamp got all the credit. So that thing with the fountain, all right, the toilet with our mutt. Okay, now our mutt, 1917, our mutt in German, our mutt, I looked this up and it's part of the biographies, it means poverty. Okay, now the story goes when Duchamp submitted the fountain to the Armory show, it got rejected, but the story is that a woman from Philadelphia delivered it to the warehouse, okay? And they know that the Baroness was living in Philly in 1917, and they know that she did these things. So one of her other sculptures, one of her found objects, was like a, what am I trying to say? Like a toilet pipe, like a plumbing pipe, okay? And we know she uses toilet humor because it's all throughout her writing, right?
Right.
And so she took this plumbing pipe and she called it God. That was the name of her thing. And the thing that Duchamp did was a urinal, right? And she plays with sexuality and she plays with toilet humor. And Duchamp never really like said anything about it. He didn't take real credit for the fountain. I'm sorry, my brain. I'm trying to figure this out. Yeah. He didn't take credit for the fountain until like the 1950s. Even though like people said it was Duchamp. Everybody called it Duchamp. He didn't take actual credit to the 50s. She died in 27. So like there's this whole there's a conspiracy towards Duchamp, like let Duchamp make the money. But then there's this feminist movement.
I was wondering about that.
Saying like the Baroness did it. This is all the Baroness.
Like if it had anything to do with it, like being a woman. You know?
Right. Now Duchamp did have like an alter ego. Her name was Rose C'est la Vie. R, big R, little r, Rose, C'est la Vie, like C'est la Vie. So there's like, he has some backdoor, like maybe it was him. But whatever. This is like a whole thing. Look all these people up.
That could have been his pet name for Baroness.
So they did say that Rose C'est la Vie actually looked like the Baroness. Like
it was her.
He modeled Rose C'est la Vie
it was
after
so her.
the Baroness.
It was her.
Right.
That had to be her.
Okay, so I feel like we've been on here for like 20 minutes. The poem is A Dozen Cocktails, Please. The Baroness Elsa von Freytag-Loringhoven. Look her up. She'll blow your mind. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Joanne Leva.
Thank you. Thanks,
and
everybody.
Remember, at Babalu Tacos, our tacos are the Babalubian. All right, folks. We had to come back in. Joanne's been like just dropping so many insights. So, you were talking about Madonna. Let's start there.
Yeah, we were saying like that people like in our pop culture today, or that we're familiar with, like Madonna, when she came out with those like brassieres that looked like, you know, pointed.
The cones.
The cones. Like, who would have thought? Like, I thought that she was breaking ground, but actually people like the Baroness were you know, her predecessor. She opened the door. She put the welcome mat down.
Right.
You know?
She would wear tomato cans.
Yeah.
As a bra.
Yeah.
Like tomato cans.
Yeah.
Just walking down the street, like being weird.
Yeah.
Being awesome, being an artist.
Yeah. Like experimental. And, you know, like that's what, I mean, that's the first thing that came to mind. Like all of the different references to things that we take for granted. But like, you know, even like we were just speaking about, E.E. Cummings.
Yes.
How he was like really like the groundbreaker for poetry on the page that was like, you know, typography and wordplay and you know, all that. But hey, maybe you know, he was influenced by the Baroness too.
It's possible. I mean, was E. Cummings reading Ezra Pound and Joyce? Like, it's probable, you know, right?
Or even maybe he even got a copy of what, the Little
That's
Review.
what I'm saying. Like, he would read, like, maybe he got copies of the Little Review, and he saw Mina Loy and all them, and he's like, wow, the Baroness is doing something really cool.
Yeah, like, how many times have we looked through an anthology?
Right.
And we're like, oh, that's awesome, you know, and maybe, like, kind of incorporated some of the things we see, you know, with our peers today.
And then, you know, also, there was the bigger story, too. One of the bigger stories is that when Joyce's obscenity trial came up for Ulysses, like, you know, they banned Ulysses, the Baroness was like, you can't ban this text. This text is amazing. She was like all for Ulysses and all for James Joyce. So, like, there was noise being made. So back in, like, Greenwich Village, New York City, like, people knew, and you know, E. Cummings, like, he was from Cambridge and all that, but, like, they knew about it. If they were part of all this, the noise that was being made, like, her influence, she called Duchamp do shit, right? William Carlos Williams, they knew each other. She would call William Carlos Williams WC, water closet, like all the toilet humor. Like, she was in all the parties, you know, like, she was in love with Duchamp. Oh my God. On the Modpo video, which you know, you wanted to talk about that too. On the Modpo video, they were saying that the Baroness wanted to give William Carlos Williams syphilis. She wanted to give him. She wanted to give a doctor a sexually transmitted disease. Like, that was the Baroness Elsa von Freytag. Elsa von Freytag-Loringhoven. So she wanted to give a kid's doctor syphilis.
Well, she's like a disruptor, you know? Like, and don't you think that, like, you know, part of art, if you're not a disruptor, like, what are you?
Okay.
Right? Like, you know, disruptor equals, you know, leader, disruptor equals, like, innovator, disruptor equals, like...
marketer.
Yeah,
right?
You know? Like, if you're not a disruptor, what are you, right? You're just like a follower.
Oh, gosh.
She's like creating, like, you know, history in the moment, like, real time.
Yet she was forgotten by history.
And also she's reaching back, right? Like, it's so clear to me if you guys, like, look this poem up. I mean,
I'll put it on screen.
The Emily reference to me is so clear.
Okay.
Like, how it's like, you know, even nudge it, kick it, prod it, push it, right? Like, with the dashes.
Yeah. So, and then we were talking about how I discovered this on the Modpo video, the Modern Contemporary Poetry video course from the University of Pennsylvania, and I took this class in like 2012, so like a decade ago. And you were saying just like how appreciative you were.
Yeah, I'm finding it comforting that, like, one of our you know Ivy League schools is honoring, you know, innovation.
Right.
And, like, you know, as poets, right? Like, we're constantly trying to, like, you know, keep our heads above water, and, you know, we go in and out of poverty always, right? Like,
and mental health.
Sort of like the poverty spiritually, poverty, you know, financially. And look at this, our Ivy League school, right, in Philly is, like, taking her and lifting her up. And that's really, that's so cool to me.
Yeah, it's wild. And then how many other stories are out there on the planet of, like, women artists who just get washed away in history.
Yeah.
Like, one of the Baroness's pieces of art was credited to a man because he was the one who took the picture.
Wow.
For forever. He like took the picture, so it's like, this piece of art is for this guy, and it's like, no, it's the Baroness's work.
Yeah.
He took the photograph, and no one knew of it, and then somebody figured out, like, wait, that's Baroness's sculpture.
It's like she was a shooting star, right?
Yes, please
like,
do that. Yes.
And like, when you're a shooting star, you leave resonance, right? So she was here for a period of time, and she, you know, left all of this debris, you know, this, like, all these artifacts and metaphor and spiritual debris that is now being, like, unearthed and uncovered, and here we are today, like, honoring it. It's really, thanks for doing this, Paul.
Thank you for joining me today.
Really, thank you.
And thanks for coming back in.
Yeah.
We'll I'll put it all together. We'll put it up on YouTube. I'll edit it down.
Yeah. Afterplay.
Right, right. This the second video is called Afterplay. Yes. I got to do the Babalu tacos again.
Yeah,
All right,
definitely.
thank you. So wait, before we do it, all right, say it with bolts and then the disruptor.
Yeah.
So now that's gonna hit me all day, and I'm gonna be like, are any of my poems disruptive?
Yes, they are.
Like, is that what we need to do? Do we need to be disruptive?
Yeah, that's our job now. Disruptors.
High five.
Yeah.
When I say word, you say play. Word.
Play.
Word.
Play.
When I say ground, you say now. Ground.
Now.
Ground. Now.
Now.
I keep forgetting what to do. Babalu tacos. Our tacos, the Babalus.